Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. So in this video I want to give you my 2024 Palantir predictions, and I predict that it's going to be annoying to be a Palantir shareholder. So let me expand on this, and by the way, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and you like the video because it really helps out with the algorithm. But Palantir. So it's been a fantastic stock this year. You can see here the year to date. The stock is up 2.16%. Despite today, we don't know what happened with the Santa rally. I'm on Twitter and I see everybody's asking what the F happened with the market. We were green and then we turned very, very red in the last part of the day. And we are quite substantially down from the highs, which were 21, and we are 17.25. So that is around 20% down from the peak, and we are still 162% up for the year. So there's nothing to complain about there. As for my portfolio, I wanted to show you, this is my portfolio this year compared to the S&P 500, and you can see that my portfolio is up around 180% year to date, as opposed to the QQQ 54% and the S&P 500 26.06%. And this is largely thanks to Palantir, because basically the whole year around 85% of my portfolio has been in Palantir. And that's because I have a lot of conviction for Palantir, and I always explain it in these videos that I'm planning to have about 10 companies, or I want to build a position of $100,000. And I don't diversify for the sake of diversification. So I had $100,000 available. Palantir was a company that I fully researched, had a ton of conviction. So I put the money in there, and it wasn't just all fun. I was also down 50% on my Palantir position at one point. So it was conviction, buying as the stock was going down, and basically being very, very lucky. I didn't think that the stock was going to be this good. But let's talk about the future. So I think that 2024 is going to be annoying, and for quite some reasons. So reason number one is that we have been, some of the investors that are in Palantir, they are not very long-term investors, and they somehow seem to think that because the market went up 162% last year, that this year we are going to do another year that is like this, okay? And I think that that is going to have a lot of people disappointed with the stock. So what should we expect? So I think that we had this 162% increase because the company was very, very misunderstood in 2022. It was considered to be a company that is never going to be profitable. It was not even considered to be a software SaaS company. It was considered to be a consultancy. And the growth rates were dropping, and the market was thinking that, okay, this is a consultancy and the growth is going to continue to drop, and we're going to have a terminal, or not terminal, but we're going to be growing at around 10% per year going into the future. So this huge increase actually is just the multiples of the stock normalizing, people recognizing that this is an AI company, and that this company is actually able to generate cash flow and profits and GAAP profits. And boy, did they generate profits. So this had more to do with, the market coming to understand the company. This growth didn't happen because the company grew the revenue so much. It didn't happen because the profitability went up so much. It's very unlike NVIDIA. So NVIDIA's crazy run up happened because the company actually blew up earnings, and everything got so much better, the margins, the earnings, and everything. Okay, so in Palantir the margins normalized. So the multiples normalized. So the question is, what can we expect in the future? I think my Palantir price target, or fair price for the stock, is currently around $18. And What this means is that if you buy the stock at $18, which is a fair value, then you can expect to earn the growth of the company. So meaning if the company is going to grow 30% next year, then your stock to stay at fair value should also grow at 30%. So I calculated out that a 30% growth from my fair value target of 18 is around $23 to $25. So if the market would value Palantir fairly and Palantir would grow 30%, then we should close out 2024 at around $23 to $25, okay? And that's the first thing that is going to be hard, that for a lot of people, this price target is very, very disappointing. And I don't know why. I think that if you're earning 20-30% per year on your money on a stock, that is fan-fucking-tastic. I don't want to have more. I'm even happy with 15%. So I would be very, very satisfied with this. So now let's go through the annoying little points that are hiccups that can happen next year. So number one is Palantir has just changed their go-to-market strategy. We have switched from super long sales cycles to AIP boot camps, and we see and hear on all the interviews that they're bursting at the seams. We see that they're doing an insane number of pilots with different companies. However, what we don't know is what is the closing rate on these events? How much are the customers buying for? What is the market strategy here? So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I think we're going to grow 30% next year, maybe even more. Maybe we get a surprise there, but we don't know. It can come up that we go into the next earning season and Palantir announces that, hey, growth is slower. We still don't have a pricing strategy. And instead of 30%, we're going to be growing 20%. And that would, again, be a huge market disappointment because right now, somehow, based on the interviews and all the commentary that the company gave, everybody is sort of expecting the best. So there might be a letdown there. I hope not, but there might be. So then the next problem that I think that is going to happen with Palantir, which you have to be aware as a Palantir investor, is that when I started covering Palantir, it was a very not so hot and not so covered stock. It wasn't like completely obscure, but it wasn't either fully mainstream. And that also meant that, there was a few people covering the stock and the main debate was like, what is this company, right? And in my observation, what tends to happen when a company becomes very, very successful and very mainstream is number one, the FUD starts to come in. So be very aware that probably you're going to read a lot of news that Palantir is losing demand for their products. This happens to Tesla, for example. It happens to Apple. It happens to many, many other companies. And I would not react to these news, okay? Then the second type of FUD that is going to come in is there is going to come competitors and a lot of competitors. Usually, when a company is doing really well, it's just capitalism. Companies start copying the products. When Apple came out with the iPhone, people were laughing. And then all of a sudden, a few years later, Samsung was also making smartphones. And every other company was making smartphones, but Apple was the only one with Samsung that could profitably make smartphones. Tesla pioneered the EVs; they became successful. Now every mainstream manufacturer is going into EVs. But does this kill the companies that did Apple get killed because there was competition? No. Did Tesla get killed because there was competition? Absolutely not. Google recently this year had ChatGPT and people were saying that Google is done, Google is finished, and the stock is up. It's not as much as the rest of the Magnificent Seven, or it's not a top producer, but hey, an up is an up. So I think expect a lot of this news to come next year. And I predict that you're even going to see YouTube creators who are going to find, and because of all these heightened expectations. There's going to be YouTube creators who are going to vent their frustration with Palantir, and they're going to come with like, I think Alex Karp is doing this wrong, and I think Palantir is doomed, and they're banging the table, so let's sell the stock, So I'm not, this channel is not about financial advice, so I can only tell you what I'm going to do and why. And I'm going to hodl Palantir next year. I don't see any reason why I would even start thinking about selling the stock. So even the thinking about selling the stock or reducing my position is not there. But I do believe that there's going to be a lot of temptations for the weak-handed to trim positions and go out of them, or like close out the position entirely. My philosophy is that I'm a super long-term investor, and I have spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours researching this company, and this company is a fantastic company. By the way, out of all the competition that has been announced, Microsoft Fiber, Amazon Q, all other competitions, I don't see any company whose product is as thick as Palantir. And it's so funny that so many people consider this a weakness that makes the company not scalable. And I more and more see it as a strength, and nobody is even really directly competing. So all the other companies like Microsoft Fiber is actually competing with the Amazon Q and Snowflake and all these like shallow, thin, standardized products. And Palantir is the only one who's like going to the customer, fully custom makes the software, makes it very, very sticky because it's fully custom made to you. And therefore they have super high margins, and they can, ask for a lot of money for their product on companies who become completely dependent on them. It's like a drug, really, So if anything, I'm very happy with how the competition is doing, because they're trying to fix a problem that Palantir doesn't have. And, they're creating, think of it that the market is in like two segments, and all the competition is like competing in this segment, and they're killing off each other. And Palantir is just, doing its own thing and is doing very well with it. So regardless of how we do in this year, I'm going to hodl the stock. And, my idea is that my philosophy is that it's super hard to time the market. I don't know, honestly, if Palantir is going to go up or down next year, but I have a lot of conviction. I have put hundreds and hundreds of hours of research into this company. And honestly, if I would sell the company, what am I going to do with that money? I don't have another company where I don't have a position built out that I trust the same way, know the same way as Palantir, and I feel that it's just not worth it. There is only a few generational companies that come around, once probably every 10 years, and Palantir is one of these companies, and for me, it's not worth the risk to jump in and out. If you had to put a gun to my head and you asked me for a prediction, it is that we are going to end the year around $23 to $25, but it depends on so many things, how the economy is doing, what's the interest rate at that time. Is Palantir going to be overvalued and maybe we go up to $30 because the market is giving them a lot of premium, or is it going to be undervalued even though the fair value is $23 to $25? So we don't know. That is my predictions for 2024. One thing is for sure, I'm not even going to thinking about selling the stock. So let me know in the comments what you think, and if you like this content and you stayed this long in the video, you're amazing. And if you want to support the channel, you can check out the Patreon link in the description box below, where I'm going to upload my price targets and my theses and many different things about the stocks that I follow. But right now, if you go there, it's really just to buy me a coffee every month, and I really appreciate it if you do check it out. Anyways, Merry Christmas, see you in the next video, and have a good evening. Ciao, ciao.